Hello and welcome to the Posture Dojo podcast. My name is Samila and I'll be your host on this transformational spiral journey. I'm sharing stories from my own healing of a 85-degree kyphoscoliosis and speaking with experts from a variety of fields. Some you might expect and some that might be a bit more surprising. Today, I'm excited to speak with Erin, who has fused a couple different ideas together, it looks like, or maybe more than a couple. Erin, walk us through what you're about when it comes to looking at the spine.
Yeah, so I'm Erin Myers, and I own Spiral Spine Pilates, which is a brick and mortar Pilates studio in Nashville, Tennessee, in the United States. We work with people virtually around the world. We do retreats. I have 4 books. I have a scoliometer app. And I'm also a Pilates instructor. I am a Pilates teacher trainer for Balanced Body and have been teaching Pilates for 2 decades. I used to be a professional dancer. I danced with the Radio City Rockettes and got really injured. And Pilates is what helped me come back to be able to dance another year with them. I was diagnosed with scoliosis at age 14 with just a minor 17-degree thoracic curve. Went on to dance with the Rockettes and eventually moved to Nashville and started my first Pilates studio. And people just started hearing about me. I had scoliosis, danced with the Rockettes. They assumed, oh, you must know what you're doing with scoliosis, which was totally not the case. I knew how to put straight lines in the human body just from my great Pilates education. And just through that, I was able to start decreasing curvatures in kids. And so through that, one of the kids that I worked with, both of her parents worked at Vanderbilt University. And we got from a 26-degree curve down to a balanced 13 and 13-degree curve. And her parents said, oh my gosh, we will do anything. What do you want from us? And I said, I want research. Next week, they came in for their lesson with some zip file drives in their hands all those years ago. And they had every piece of medical research that had been published with the word scoliosis in it. So it was everything from fusion surgery research to back bracing to stuff that was like 40 years old to movement, little tiny research studies, huge research studies. And I spent the next 10 years sifting through it all. And I tried and I futzed with everything that I could with my clients, with myself. Fast forward, I have 2 kids. I have a husband and 2 kids. They're now 2 boys that are 13 and 15 years old. But way back when I did my first book and I was like, you know what? I should show everybody what a picture of my spine looks like. I should just put it in there. Couldn't find my original x-ray. Got an x-ray. I had been working with everyone else. I had not been caring for my own scoliotic spine. And I now had a 35-degree upper curve and a 25-degree lower curve, which everyone says it's not supposed to get worse. Totally wrong. Totally. I started putting into place everything that I knew and was able to decrease my upper curve to the teens and my low curve below 10 as an adult after I'd given birth to 2 kids. And life fluctuates. My curve goes up and down and it's good. We age and we just learn to care for our body and enjoy the journey and the process. So that's my story.
Absolutely. Everything fluctuates. The spine is a spring in some ways, bouncing around our brains for a lifetime.
Yep.
I feel like there's a lot of people who have been on the fringes for a while I went through the system with the general doctor to the orthopedic surgeon, like this about 25 years ago. And it was a different scene, and they were really the only ones with the answers. And if they weren't going to brace you or offer surgery, then there wasn't really too much else. Everything else was just scattered about. But now with the internet, I think we are starting to realize, hey, you guys have the same issue. Let's work this out and let's connect. I think that's been really beautiful to see. So walk me through what does your practice look like there in Nashville, Tennessee?
Yeah, I'm actually in my studio right now. And you can see some lessons going on. And the deeper I get into the Scolio world, I'll tell you what my practice is, but the deeper I get into the Scolio world, the more I realize and the more I study all of the modalities that are out there of people who care for people that have scoliosis, the more I realize that, yeah, I can say, oh, you've got this curve. I'm going to make an educated guess on these muscles are going to be short. These muscles are going to be long. These muscles need to fire more. But sometimes we get curveballs. And the deeper I get into the Scolio world, the deeper I understand that the most important thing that you can do with being a practitioner or having Scolio yourself is having your body analyzed by someone who understands the human body. And someone may have the same scoliosis, but because they were an athlete or they are an athlete and this person has never moved before in their life, or this person has a torn right labrum, or this person has a torn right meniscus, or this person birthed 2 kids, their body's going to act super differently than your body, Sam. And so we take what we do really seriously, but I also have come to learn that it's a journey, and we can think that we're looking for a solution or an answer, or we can learn to love the journey and love to move and love our bodies and just enjoy the heck out of the journey. And that's what we do. And a lot of people are looking for community. And that's one of the reasons we hold retreats. In my book, I Have Scoliosis, Now What? The very first chapter is Scoliosis Orphans. And that's what everyone feels like. They feel like they're all alone, even though scoliosis is the #1 pediatric spinal diagnosis in the world. Sam, that's mind-blowing. What? You know what I mean? I'm like, this is crazy. So I think as word has spread, what we do here and how we work with virtually people around the world, we have started to get some really hard cases. I've never read research about them. We've had so much medical trauma from some of our clients, so many broken situations, literally, physically, metaphorically, emotionally, psychologically. And it has just brought us, my huge staff and I, into this new realm of, wow, how do we hold space for these people? And we heal how much we can heal, and we learn to enjoy the journey. And the goal is not a straight spine. The goal is an improved quality of life with less pain, where we get to enjoy every day. And that's the journey. That is, I don't even know if I answered your question, Sam, but the deeper I get into the scoliosis world, I think my answer changes.
I mean, the goal of the question is to explore wisdom. I think what you just said was extremely experienced and wise, and you covered quite a lot there. I get a lot of questions sometimes, can I fix my scoliosis? Especially on social media, they're looking for that quick fix. A lot of the times it might be one exercise that they can do to go back to normal. Sometimes it's, will I ever be normal? Can I get to that? And it's a hard one to answer because it's a comment section, so you're limited by very few characters. But what you said reminded me that, yeah, if you're 18 and you have this curve, you have a greater opportunity for change and improve. But the question of if you can fix it or if you can do something about it is not really on the extra. It's in here, it's in how committed you are to this journey, how much you're going to prioritize this, how you can fall in love with that process. It made me think that's more of an accurate question for someone in that position. Can I fall in love with prioritizing this journey? And what is this journey? How would you describe this journey to someone who's realizing that they need to go on a journey?
One of the things that I have, through multiple health issues that I've had outside of scoliosis, even though I now realize that scoliosis is a part of that health journey, and having kids myself, and this deep-seated fear that I think every parent that has scoliosis, everyone would say their deepest seated fear is that they're going to give that to their kids. And I am a lover and a believer of truth. I want to know how something happened, why something happened. I'm not one of those people who's, do this exercise, it's going to fix you. I'm like, but tell me why. Give me the research. Show me how. Let me see some proof. Just everything takes time, energy, and money. And if I'm going to throw myself into something, I want it to work, but I also want to enjoy the process of it. But I don't want to be led down a path that's going to be false. One of the things in my latest book, chapter 13, is the root of scoliosis. And I have spent an copious amount of time, and my staff has helped me go at what is the root of idiopathic, means I don't know why you ended up with a diagnosis. Scoliosis is a sideways bend of the curve of 10 degrees or more. Idiopathic scoliosis means I don't know why you ended up with a spine of 10 degrees and more of a curvature. That is our diagnosis. That is not the root diagnosis itself. That still doesn't give us an answer. 350 research references later in chapter 13 of someone that we don't know where the diagnosis came from. Scoliosis is a neurological, hormonal, bony condition that manifested itself in a twisted spine. That means that we have to figure out what nutrients affect the neurological system, what nutrients affect the hormonal system or toxins, and what nutrients affect the bony system. And it is wild. There is so much research out there that unfortunately, the medical world, the first responders, you might say, aren't like, hey, we need to have your D run. We need to have your omegas run. We need to have your selenium run. We need to have your magnesium run. We need to have your manganese run. We need to have your Bs. I need your MTFR run, MTHFR run. I need to know how you're methylating B vitamins. All of these things are not done. And I mean, my desire would be that they go to an ortho and the ortho's like, oh, here's your scoliosis blood panel. Let's get this run for you. And then immediately these things can get checked. So going back to your question of what does this journey look like? I think first off, we need to understand that our spine is not the root. Our scoli is not the root of what we're dealing with. The root of what we're dealing with are a bunch of unbalanced nutrients inside of our body. So we need, holistically, we have to learn how to care for our whole body, not just our spine, not just movement, what we eat, what we drink, how clean our environment is, having our detox pathways open, knowing what we need to detox from, and getting all that stuff out of us. So I'm a Pilates instructor that is doing blood work, and functional medicine work it's outside of my scope of practice. So I have a lot of practitioners that I refer people out to. And I think the deeper I get into my work, my body, my teachers' bodies, my clients' bodies, the more I'm thoroughly aware that there are so many levels on how people with scoliosis need to care for themselves. So even when you're a kid, we need to balance these things out to stop the curvature. That's what's going to stop it. Sam, the work you and I do, it's so good. We need to keep moving because we're going to have to once our spines are curved, and it's going to be a fight. Always just bring that spine back together. But as I'm older, when I'm a 70-year-old woman, all those nutrients that are in balance, that could come around and kick me in the rear end if I don't balance those things out. So the journey is long and wide.
Yeah, so please share some insights into the nutritional plan or common nutritional imbalances that could really jeopardize the structural integrity of the bones that make up our spine,
Yeah. So
or
there's some
like the entire system, not just the bones, right?
totally. So there's fascinating research that I cited all this stuff in chapter 13.
Water, by
Scoliosis.
the way, recycled.
Yours in your bottle that, are you sure you're not drinking tequila at this time of the day, Sam?
It is Mexico.
It's all good. It's all good. Make for a fun podcast. Anyways, one of the things that blew me away when I started going through all the research was how everyone across the board, and there's so much research, not just like one tiny little study, so much research that says everyone that has scoli, their vitamin D is totally tanked. There was some fascinating research on people that had fusions, that they actually went into these young girls 12, 13, 14 when they were getting the fusion, and they actually tested the bones. So not just blood levels, but they're actually testing the bone. These girls had full-fledged osteoporosis, 12, 13, 14 years old. So we got to think here. I'm like, what causes these girls to have full-fledged osteoporosis at age 12, 13, 14? And then you start going back. I mean, without a shadow of a doubt, everyone that has scoli needs to be on vitamin D3, K2. But you need to get your blood panels run, and you need to just keep your levels up at a really healthy rate. But there are toxicities that can pull vitamin D from our bodies. Mold, metals. Mold is my nemesis, my life's nemesis. And that is, the deeper I get into the scoliosis world, the more I think that mold toxicity has a lot to do with the origination of people that have scoliosis. I've never seen research on it, but that is sure something I would love to see one day. Omegas, selenium, magnesium. Occasionally, there was some really fascinating research on manganese, very random nutrient most people don't think about. There was some young kids, so infantile scoliosis, really little kids that have scoliosis. They found that when it was sort of that young, that they had huge manganese deficiencies. And this is just like straight Western med stuff. When these doctors started giving them high dosages of manganese, their scoliosis straightened out. Wild, crazy stuff. We had one of our kiddos here, her spine was just, our work was good that we were doing, but it was like an uncontrollable curve. It just kept going and going. Had her braced and it just kept going and going. She ended up getting tethering, ASC, anterior scoliosis correction. And when they were in there, they found a bunch of weird nerves were enmeshed. And then they did, after the fact, I wish it was before, but after the fact, they ran manganese panels on her, totally deficient in manganese. And I was like, oh, why wasn't this checked when you were little? We could have probably avoided this. So
Interesting. Manganese, a hard, brittle, silvery metal, often found in minerals in combination with iron.
Iron is another deficiency. A lot of people have iron deficiencies that have scoliosis. Hormone imbalances, list is long. I can't think of other things. B9, folate is another one. And a lot of people that have scoliosis have an MTHR genetic mutation, meaning that they can't methylate folate on their own. I could eat all the green vegetables I wanted, but you know what? If I don't have this gene that works really well, it doesn't really matter. Mine works at 70%. I am on methylfolate and will be on methylfolate every day for the rest of my life. And it just doesn't work great in me.
Interesting. It seems like this is something that you've narrowed down as the root cause in your scoliosis.
Yeah, so I have found a bunch of nutritional deficiencies, and I was very ill many years ago. And I had really weird hormonal situations, breast bleeding, like all these things, extreme fatigue when my kids were really little. I was like, dang, other moms like are not looking like what I'm looking like. I know I'm tired, I'm doing night stuff with them, but I'm like, man, my friends are not like dragging on the ground, like drinking caffeine all hours of the day just to keep their eyes open. What's going on? So I started going on a journey to just figure out what the root was. And every Western medicine, every crazy person, every person I should probably not have trusted because I couldn't find answers, had a massive centimeter cyst taken off my right ovary, filled with hormones. They were like, I don't know, we took it out. All your internal organs were displaced. I'm like, but why? Like, why did my body choose to do this? What else was in that cyst? And they're like, I don't know, a bunch of cysts in my breasts. And I'm like, but I don't understand. Like, why is my body doing this? Why is it trying to pull things in? And found a doctor that I see now. He's a Western med, and he also is very equipped in functional medicine. And I had extreme mold toxicity, like 5 times higher than the max amount in 3 different species that should be in the human body. So went through massive detoxification over a 3-year time period, and I am happier and healthier and have more energy than I ever have. And as I've dug deeper into mold, and I had mercury. I don't know how I had mercury. I've never had any mercury fillings in my mouth before. And both my kids had mercury in their bodies. What? This is crazy, Sam.
Toxicity in the microbiome.
Mold toxicity. Mold gets stored in fat cells. Sam, I'm not a big person. There's not a lot here. And so it gets stored in the fat cells and has to get detoxed out of it. And through binders that pull it out of the gut, out of the microbiome world before it gets reabsorbed back into it. Living up in the nose, living up in the brain, and it all just has to get pulled out. And I've just had so much research done just on my own body, every orifice of every part of my body. I'm not a great detoxer. And guess what? Scoliosis research shows that people with scoliosis are not great detoxers. They're not great detoxers. We don't detox hormones. Our guts don't detox. Our microbiome is jacked up. And so then it's okay. So we are already at a predisposition. We genetically do not detox well. Okay. So that means, what are we holding on to then? We can be not great detoxers and have great detox systems that we do at home, saunas, making sure our bowels are moving, drinking water, make sure our urinary tracts are moving well. We can do all these things, taking herbs to make sure our hormones are dumping all the time and they're balanced. But if we were raised in a moldy house, if we ate standard American 80s and 90s food growing up, if we were constipated our whole life up until about 10 years ago, you think about all these things that add up in the human body. And I also have a tick-borne illness. I think it's, Bartonella. My kids have some stuff too. One of my kids has Lyme. And so then you get stuff that bugs have dumped into you, and you can't detox that stuff out either. And then during puberty, when the body needs so much sleep and so much nutrient value and so much extra help, like it already is just not able to handle it. And spine.
So I imagine you go deeper into some of the nutritional research in your book.
I do.
I do agree that flow and a balanced flow is at the core of that journey. So yeah, let's swing back to that question, I guess. Let's sum up what that journey is. We're speaking to that 17, 20, 22-year-old who's okay, I realize that I've got to help myself. I realize that I'm an adult now and I need to do this myself. And there's more and more people out there who are willing to help you. But what does that journey look like? Let's prep their mind.
First things first, we got to move. Sam, that's your world. We just got to move. And there's great different practitioners out there that can help you do that. You need to have someone that understands Scoli, and there's a lot of different methods out there. My jam's Pilates. I love it. I love equipment. I love doing it on mat. But I'm a gyrotonic instructor. I practiced yoga for 20 years, took a yoga class this morning. I love movement. I was a professional dancer. I love movement. I need you to love movement. I don't care if you're a swimmer. I don't care if you're a hardcore distance runner like my 15-year-old is. That is crazy to me. I don't care. I don't care. I need you to love movement. Pick a movement. Love it. Let's figure out how to modify it to help your body. I was looking at something recently from you, Sam, and you were like lifting stones and building, I don't even know, what are you calling them? Statues? What are you calling them?
They've got a few words. They're nook cooks, and then there's also cans. I'm just calling them rock towers.
Oh, rock towers! I can buy that.
And it's a movement opportunity, and it's become so much more than movement as well. Like it's become a practice of presence. Everything from selecting the rocks and then walking with the rocks, and that all of the functions of going through those motions. Then the balancing, the stillness, and yeah, it's a beautiful practice. So movement, falling in love with movement and taking every movement opportunity that you have.
I don't care if you love building rock towers like Sam. When you build your rock towers, we're going to embody it, and we're going to also know how does your body like to sink into your curves. Because our bodies are strongest in our curve pattern. That's just our weak link in our chain. It's all good. It's all good. Everybody has it. Even though everyone thinks that they're looking at our spine and seeing how twisted our bodies are, they're not. Just as these people are like, dang, I got my right rotator cuff torn when I was doing my pole vaulting, or I had my right ACL repaired and everyone's looking at my jacked up knee. They're not. So you need to know that those are their weak links in their chain. Our weak links are going into our curves. So when we're practicing our favorite movement modalities, we have to know how to come out of our curvature pattern. I am not as strong as you are, Sam. I cannot pick up rocks and build a rock tower and put a rock at the height of my head. If I did, it would probably make my scoli worse. I would sink deeper into my curve. So I know Sam's going to build rock towers. Erin's not going to build rock towers. And that's okay. Sam loves building rock towers.
Well, I mean, you could build smaller rock towers. I mean, the process of, and yeah, I do want to preface that with, like that is something that I've worked up to over many years. And I know that I don't go out and try to lift as heavy as I can. And that's also part of that practice is like I'm feeling my body of when I'm pushing the limits here with an 85-degree curvature in my T, like from my T10, right in the middle. Like I have a severely compromised lifting system going on. So I know that my goal isn't to lift heavier and heavier because that doesn't take me to the place that I want to be. It's not a long-term strategy. I'm playing the long game here. I'm prepping for those upcoming decades as we go here.
Yep.
I want to have function that I'm going to be carrying into those years.
Yep. So going back to your question about what does our journey look like? First journey is to move. The first journey is just to start the movement. Oftentimes, the way people find us here at Spiral and around the world when they find us is they hurt. They hurt. And hurt can be physical pain, hurt can be emotional pain. There's a lot. We've seen a lot. We've seen a lot here, physical and emotional. Suicide attempts, we've seen it all. And movement's fun. Movement makes people happy. Movement makes people emotionally happy. Movement also makes pain decrease physically in the body. And it's an enjoyable thing. And so we need to start enjoying our body first and enjoying our mind first and enjoying the journey. And once we are there, when we are ready to take the next step, in my opinion, that's when we can talk about internal stuff and getting testing done, unless you're a child and your parent is ushering your journey for you and can handle that, because it's a lot. And most people who end up at the place like what you're talking about, Sam, where they're ready to take charge of their bodies, there's been some form of trauma at that point, emotional, physical, mental, spiritual. And so we need to get to a happy place and have a bit of healing through that. And then when we're in a better place, then we can start going deeper to get our insides healthy and cleaned up.
I love your answer and how simple it is. I think that's one of the best answers that are out there for someone like that, right? Find a movement that you can fall in love with, and start understanding just how your curve is, how you might be falling into curves that you might not want to, and just start learning about that kind of dynamic. I think that's a great first couple steps to start on that journey.
And the reality is that while someone can come to me and in 5 minutes, I can diagram your body out. I can tell you where your pads go when you're on your back, when you're on your side, when you're on your stomach. I can tell you where to breathe. I can tell you where to anchor in your back. I can tell you that your right glute isn't firing very well. I can tell you your right psoas is locked up, causing neuromuscular inhibition to your right glute. I can tell you that your left inner thigh is locked up. I can tell you that your left pec minor is like, I could do that, but that doesn't really matter because I'm not with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So my goal with anybody, I don't care if they're 9 years old or 89 years old, is that people are going to start owning their journey. They're going to know, man, I love row and crew in high school. And when I sit on this side, it makes me sink deeper into my scoliosis and I hurt. Man, I've got a scholarship to go to college. Okay, am I going to take that? And am I going to do all this compensation and all this extra work outside of that in order for me to not sink in this so that when I'm 40, my curve isn't double what it was? Or do I make a choice to not do that and find another path? And one of my favorite examples of all time was one of the kiddos that I worked with starting at age 9 every week for in-person lessons, private lessons. She came to me at age 12. She said, Miss Erin, the fascia in my rib cage is so twisted today, and my right psoas is so locked up. I need help doing gyrotonic, and I need to rotate to the left, and I need your help releasing my right psoas. I was like, baby, we're going to be okay. We did it. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. She could call what it was. She knew what it was. She wasn't freaking out, having a panic attack. And she knew to ask for help, and she knew who to ask for help. And that's what I want everyone with scoliosis to go through the journey of immediately when they have scoliosis. Some people, it's really quick. Some people who love to move, they're like, oh my gosh, this is brilliant. And some people who hate to move, we're 7 years into it and we still haven't accomplished, we're still not quite there yet. And that's okay. That's okay. But that is what needs to start on someone's journey. I think the deeper I get into schooling and I understand that I 100% think that it is the most complex spinal diagnosis that there is in the world. The more I desire to simplify it, the more I desire to simplify how do you work with someone that has scoliosis? How do you live with scoliosis and make it simple? Because the more complex we make it, the more they're repelled from wanting to care for themselves.
Yeah, I noticed that in the way that you communicate. It's certainly one of your gifts to articulate it very simply what somebody needs to understand, because that can be a big barrier in that journey, is especially as a younger person. We have like the thoracolumbar index, and if we go too anatomical, too quick, we're already lost and disempowered. And that's a big one. And then there's also becoming dependent on certain people or certain equipment sometimes as we
Yep.
move around life and we change location. Because you have a physical location, and there's obviously so much that we need to do physically. And then you might have one session a week or three sessions a week, but this gravity is 24/7. How do you balance that with the people that you're treating?
My big dream, it's never going to happen, Sam. My big dream is that everyone who comes to us, eventually they go through some form of Pilates teacher training so they can learn to feed themselves. And whether it's full teacher training or it's just a few things for them to understand, that's what I want. And whether it's like, hey, I'm traveling, I've got a TheraBand and a pinky ball, awesome. Whether it's a huge, gorgeous studio with beautiful equipment, super cool. Whether it's my house, I've got a fold-up reformer and a wall ladder and a ton of props, cool. Whether I'm on a beach in the Cayman Islands and I'm on my patio in the morning and I've got a railing. All right, how can I use a railing? Awesome. It's just knowing what your body needs, using what's around you. Because if I say, hey, you need to have $10,000 worth of Pilates equipment, man, I just put that barrier so high, no one's going to do anything. And oftentimes on our intake form, when we work with people with scoliosis, one of the questions at the bottom, it says, especially if we work with them virtually, it's what equipment do you have? And they'll say nothing. So then the teachers and I know, I got a water bottle. Everyone's got a water bottle. Okay, what can we do with a water bottle? And it's using what you have. It's taking the excuses away. And it's making it fun. Like over the years, I've developed a style of diagramming. And I'll get a marker out and I'll sketch someone's body out. It's super simple. It takes 20 seconds. And recently, over the last few years, my staff and I have started to make our kids do it. And we put these markers out in front of them, and we put these color gel pens in front of them, and we put stickers in front of them. And I'm like, okay, I need you to draw your body. I mean, sometimes these kids take 30 minutes to draw their bodies. I was like, wow. And sometimes it's a boy, and I'm not drawing. I'm like, okay, then we're not going to draw. Then you're going to take a picture of my drawing. But it's how do we start taking serious ownership of it? And it's not me. And Sam, it's not you. And it's using whatever we have around us. I don't care if it's a water bottle. We're going to use what we have.
Yes. They even have water bottles that have the foam roller on the outside of it. I don't know if you've seen those ones, but
I just use this as my foam roller, except it's metal. I'm right there with you, Sam.
that's next level. That's a good one. Yeah, drawing is really, really important. Something I do as well. The way we imagine is so important because we are becoming that message instructor inside of our bodies, right? The better we can visualize what's happening and understand what's happening and becoming aware, we're literally signaling the cells. To think that's not happening is absurd. And for a doctor to not really mention that, hey, you can program your cells, you know that, right? That'd be a handy thing to empower someone to be like, your mind, the things you think, the way you feel is instructing your entire body. Practice that. Become aware of that. I don't know how they got missed. How did they get missed in our system?
One of the things when I've mentioned medical trauma, sometimes the medical trauma is surgery trauma. Sometimes the trauma is what a doctor said to you in passing in a 5-minute appointment. And these words stick with them. The stories people have told me, and I'm like, no wonder I can't release your right psoas. Wow. Okay. And so one of the things that we've learned at the studio is how do we work through this? How do we reprogram our bodies to love movement and to love our bodies. And part of that is community. That's why I bought this space a year and a half ago from the location we were at before. We were all renting. So I had control over making it just like a beautiful space where people felt like it was a treat that they had scoliosis, that they could come and be at this gorgeous facility. To having no mirrors here, to having one of the things that I'm a big stickler about is the words that we say to ourselves and the words that practitioners say to other people that have scoliosis. My biggest pet peeve in the entire world, in the scoliosis world, is when they say rib hump. What, Sam? What? This is crazy. You're going to tell a 12-year-old prepubescent girl she's a rib hump? I'm like, no wonder. No wonder there are so many suicides in the scoliosis world. Are you kidding me? And so those words are not allowed in my studio. And we use a lot of funny words here that people like have never really thought about their bodies before. It's gummy. It's sticky. It's sleepy. Things that they're like, I don't even know how to compute with those words. I'm like, we're setting new foundations. How do you feel today? My right hip is gummy. Okay, what do you want to do about your right hip? And I saw a teacher teaching a group class. We have Sunday afternoons. I don't know how it all progressed, but we have these 70-year-olds that come out and they work out in a group class together. And they all have scoliosis and osteoporosis. And there is some gnarly scoli going on. There is a lot going on there. And they are all just working out. They're rock stars. They like have competitions to see who's stronger. And they like stay 30 minutes afterwards. And they have their friends that they talk to. And they might be in aqua aerobics all together. You would never know that they have scoliosis and are working out together. And there was one lady that was in a group class, and I just happened to be here teaching teacher training, and I looked over and she was telling the teacher, this hurts my hip. And the teacher looked over her and she was like, what do you want to do about it? And the client was quiet for 20 seconds. She was like, I want to get out of this exercise. And the teacher said, then what do you want to do about it? And she said, I want to stretch my hip out. That's a good choice. How do you want to stretch your hip out? And she just made this 70-year-old lady like think through the process. You can do this. We haven't thrown the towel in yet. I'm empowering you to take care of your body. And so it's this 5-minute journey for her to like work through this, but she figured it out. She put herself into a new exercise. And that's my hope for people that have scoli.
That's so powerful what you just said. It's a new reality. When you say it hurts. I'm in pain. I feel pain. It is programming that, and it puts you in that victim position. And so instead of just saying pain, okay, pay a little bit more attention and find an adjective. What is it? Is it a pinching? Is it a numbing? Is it a compression? Is it gummy, sticky, as you're saying? So these words.
Is it fear? Is it
the
fear? Is it sadness? Is it anger?
So let's go into that, because that's highly connected to a piece of research or a part of research, a few studies that have really got my interest recently, which is asynchronous neuroosseous growth. Neuro being the brain, osseous being the bones. And they've seen that a lot of people with adolescent idiopathic scoliosis, as you put it, the unknown reason why your curve is more than 10 degrees, they have a shortened, proportionally, spinal cord to the vertebrae. So the spinal cord is contracted in relation to the spinal column, the spinal vertebral column. Now, why would that be? Why would a spinal cord contract or relax, right? There isn't really a range of motion with spinal cords in the nervous system. It's more of a contraction and relaxation is the range of emotion, the range of energy in the spinal cord and nervous system, for example. And that to me would be like, okay, why would that happen? A brain or a body or a being experiencing a frightening situation might contract, right? That freeze or that flight reaction is sorry, not flight. Flight is more of an activation, but the freezing would certainly contract if there's emotional abuse and you're protecting yourself. if there's an injury and you're wincing, as I believe in my original situation, having a hip groin injury and then for a few months wincing and holding that and really not unlocking the hips, not rehabilitating the hips correctly, created quite a bit of tension in that area during my height spurt in my teenage years, causing this pretty severe warping effect. So when you have a contracted spinal cord inside of a vertebral column that's growing, start seeing this warping effect. And that understanding, that perspective has really allowed me to get some extra alignment that I didn't think I could get at this point. Thinking, okay, I've hit my max alignment that I can get out of this. I now have a wedge-shaped vertebrae. So I do have some limitation, not complete limitation, but I do have some limitation in terms of the structure that I'm rebuilding. And that awareness that by programming and by telling a story of calm and relaxation, when I'm especially in a position that may be difficult, or I come across a tension, or I'm in a position that would naturally create alignment in my body, but my holding curve or my default curve is resisting that. By, especially in that exhale, allowing that new story to pass through me of I trust, I'm safe, I'm relaxed, I'm calm, creates a space for alignment. And that's really been a beautiful idea that's helped me a lot. And I'm starting to really kind of put that out there because I know that will help so many other people.
I love your story. Okay. I'm gonna throw some kinks in the chain to the story. You ready for it, Sam? Okay. I would love it if you have some of the research. I would love for you to send me the research. If there's new research, the neuroosseous research, I have it cited in both this. I have scoliosis now, but also analyzing scoliosis. I think the concept of the neuroosseous membrane research, which was originally that the spinal cord grew at a slower pace than the bones around it, and that is what shrunk it. And that is what caused the body to twist into that curvature. I believe, at least from the latest research that I've read, that the concept of that, I have many other thoughts on that, was debunked. And there was CT scans, MRI scans that were done, can't remember which one, of to prove or disprove that earlier neuroosseous membrane theory. And they did scans throughout the entire spinal cord. And they found something very interesting. At the apex of the curvatures, the actual spinal cord changed shape. It changed from a circle to an oval. And so in my brain is what controls the nervous system. And that goes back to nutrient values, what goes into the nervous system to create the nervous system. So that's one thought. But I have no research on this, but my own experience and all my thousands of clients that I've worked with that have scoli. I would say 25% of people that have scoli have a very tight spinal cord, myself included. I am really flexible. I'm hyper flexible. I don't have Ehlers-Danlos, but good golly, these joints made for gorgeous dancing lines, but good golly. And then you get my spine, and in the mornings, that sucker doesn't move. So I started going down research in that path. And on tight mornings, it feels like the dura, the fascia around my spinal cord, is what gets tight. So I started playing around with the neuroosseous membrane theory and then the spinal cord changing shape theory. And I have not come to any conclusions as to that. But the spinal cord on a lot of people that have scoli via research has changed shape. Now, it is a spinal cord. It is not a muscle. Fascia does have the ability to contract a bit, but it definitely doesn't have the ability like muscles. Think of the psoas muscle. The psoas, one of the most powerful emotional muscle in the entire body, attaches to the front of the spine, 12 vertebra, T12, L1-ish, down to L5, depending on the person. And right and left, underneath reproductive organs, into the lesser trochanter of the leg, into the inner thigh of the leg. And it is the most emotional muscle in the body. What happens when you hear a loud sound? You crouch down. What happens when you cry so hard because someone just died? You go to fetal position, you pull your knees in. That's your psoas that does that. What happens when the week after you go to a funeral, your back hurts? What happens when you give birth? Your back hurts. Your psoas hurts. So what I have found in a lot of people who I hurt, I have pain, we take all of those together. Where are they holding their tightness? Psoas. If the spine is off shifted in any of those lumbar vertebra, we're going to have one psoas that's more bound than the other psoas is. So all the work that you're doing, Sam, of calming your neural system, of re-talking to your neural system, I believe is probably also speaking to your psoas, telling that sucker to chill out, and then you're getting freed from that, able finally to come up without that constriction in the front pulling you deeper into your curve patterns. Because I've seen some of the videos that you do. Remarkable work, and you would not be able to do any of that if you were not in control of your mind and then your mind controlling the rest of your body. 100%. I go super nerdy down into those weird research holes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the spinal cord is obviously the information, the signaling highway that we have that goes right through the spine, because that's the literal highway, and then it's shooting off into different muscles. Obviously, the psoas is the first one to respond to the, all right, we got to run, let's go. Your psoas is the first muscle to activate because it's got top body, upper body, and lower body activation. It's the deepest, it's the core, it's extremely emotional, and maybe it's just partly because of that proximity to the highway. It gets all the highway pollution, and if there's coming a lot of protect, a lot of brace, hide, or if it's depression, or if it's whatever emotion, whatever signals are coming down that highway, the psoas is going to be taking a lot of it. And if it's taking a chronic amount of anything that might cause a tightness or a protection or some type of, I'm not safe, I don't trust, or I don't, that's where I think the diagnosis has been so complicated, because this psychological element of what may have been being imprinted onto through the body throughout those formative years is so hard for people to diagnose, and does require that qualitative, like in-depth kind of analysis and questioning into that. But yeah, this is where my curiosity is taking me at the moment.
I think that one of my favorite group of people to work with that have scoliosis are the elderly. And the elderly, the people that are 70 and 80 plus, because most of the clients at my studio that are of that age, they've never been fused. And some of them there's a lot going on in that spine, Sam. There's a lot going on in that spine. And guess what? They're fine. They're fine. I had a doctor once refer one of my clients to me, and there was a lot going on. She gave me her MRI report, and there was a lot going on. I, I emailed him, and he's a friend, and I was like, just totally, probably not HIPAA approved, but what's going on? What do I need to know? She showed me her reports. He emailed back a few simple sentences. He was like, I have no idea how she's walking. She's never going to be able to handle a fusion. She's not going to live through it. Do what you do. It's like, guess what? She's one of the ladies that comes to the group class on Sunday afternoons. She's fine, Sam. She's all right. And it's just so much. And she doesn't even know. She doesn't even understand what's going on in her spine. And that's probably the best gift to her, to be totally honest with you. She didn't know that the doctor said she shouldn't be walking.
Yep. It's a highly red alert. A spinal compromise is a huge red alert in the body. But at the same time, the body is extremely resilient, and it will adapt. It will always adapt, and it will never stop adapting.
I had a massage therapist say to me once, I was dealing with lots of extreme spasms for weeks on end. I couldn't make the spasms stop. And It was a challenge. I'm on the other side of it now. It's great now. But one of my most trusted practitioners, I asked her and I was like, I'm compensating so much right now. I feel myself sinking deeper into the body. And she goes, Erin, everyone that has scoliosis is a total compromiser. And that's how they function. I don't want to take that compromise from you because that's how you move. And it just made me sit there for a minute. I was like, wow, people with scoli are ultimate compromisers in their body. When you walk, Sam, your gait versus left, it's not the same, and neither is mine. And you know what? It's okay. It's going to be all right. You're going to be an old man one day, and you're going to have the same gait, and you know what, Sam? It's going to be fine. I'm going to be an old lady one day. We're going to have the same gait. It's all right. It's going to be okay. It is. It's going to be okay.
Yep, yep. And whether you see it as broken, I think if you do see yourself as broken, that's another program to watch out for. And I know with marketing, I have to connect with people who have been diagnosed with these words, but at the same time can benefit from choosing better words to describe it and understand that those words aren't just in our body, they're in our mind and our life as well. So let's choose strategic words for that.
So
That take
I
us
have a
to a
question.
good place.
I have a question for you, Sam.
Yeah.
Is your spine broken? And is your spine and body a mistake?
I'm playing Jenga with a wedge-shaped block.
It's a good answer.
Yeah, I mean, no, yeah, I don't say, oh, I'm broken. I have a severe challenge. I had a severe challenge, and I've overcome that in a lot of ways. And I got to a place where, okay, I'm good. Now I'm just curious how far I can take this. And that's why I actually increased my height almost 2 inches. It was from just like, okay, I can just keep on going here. Because you did mention, right, that chronic fatigue. For me, that was my turning point as well. And it sounded like for you, like that was like when you realized, wow, I can't go on like this. And I literally spoke to someone yesterday in that same position. IBS, system shutting down, chronic fatigue, constipation, all these things of just, wow. And I'm like, so it's like your life force is being choked out of you? Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what that feels like. That's sometimes what it takes to have that turning point, that severe, wow, this could be it. That's sometimes unfortunately what's required to really start putting you in the driver's seat to say, okay, I'm not gonna wait anymore. I'm going to take ownership. Another word you've brought up, take ownership of this and start the journey.
And I love it. And the answer is always a beautiful thing for me to hear from people who have from a psychologist client of mine, keyword, acceptance, that you've just accepted where you're at. And it's okay, Sam. You know what I mean? It's okay. It's going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. You're going to be okay. We're going to have a smile on our face. It's going to be good. And we're going to learn how to just have a great life with it. But it's getting to the piece of acceptance of what is, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, all the answers come down to acceptance most of the time, and most of the problems come from resistance.
I love it. Yeah, and it's when I ask clients, I don't ask them those words in the beginning, but when they come, oftentimes it's, I hurt, I have pain. And once we start digging deeper, that tells me a lot on which way, how are we going, how fast are we going, where do I weave. I had a client who had 3 botched spinal fusions, and she woke up from her third with a 45-degree listhesis from the vertebra right above her fusion, and it was 45 degrees knocked off. She was like 40. She was like, I have kids. I'm not going through this again, even though she could sue and at a medical malpractice and all that stuff. I just can't. I emotionally cannot do this anymore. Actually, she is now a teacher at my studio. Amazing story, amazing woman. And her very first lesson 3 years ago, she was scheduled for her fourth surgery and she didn't want to do it. She just didn't know what else to do. She was referred to me like last ditch effort from a friend who was like, you got to go see Erin before you like do this again. And she said, it took me 30 minutes, 35 minutes to just get her to lay down on the reformer. There was just so many words. I got her to lay down on the reformer. Footwork, which is just like a leg press. I didn't even put very many springs on, not very much weight. And I looked down at her. She had tears streaming from her eyes. And I said, what do you feel? Very calmly. And she said, 30 seconds later, tears streaming through her eyes, I feel fear. And I said, I'm okay if you feel fear. Do you feel physical pain right now? Tears streaming from her eyes. Nope. Okay. I don't expect you to trust me right now because you don't know who I am. I'm going to very slowly keep moving with you, and you're going to tell me if you start feeling physical pain. And I'm okay if you feel fear, and I'm okay if you keep crying because this is very scary, and a lot of people have hurt you. So we're going to just very slowly keep moving. She canceled her surgery. She was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, bump it back 4 months. Just bump it back 4 months. Reschedule it again. Just give me 4 months. Neural pain went away, down one leg. We got 4 month mark. She was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, bump it back 4 months. Bump it back 4 months. Neural pain goes away down the other leg. Now she comes in, joy on her face, smiley, happy, giving hugs in the studio. Now she's working with people that have scoliosis. Sam, it's wild. And now she's to the point that she said to me the other day, she actually got back to running. Wild. She was like, you're going to hate what I have to tell you, Erin. I actually started running. And I was like, you did what? You still have a 45-degree listhesis. What are you doing? She goes, no, I could see my shadow on the ground and I just corrected myself. I did a minute on and 2 minutes off. And I was like, and did you have neural pain? She goes, no. And she did it on her own, Sam. It wasn't me. And she came to me the other day. She was like, hey, Erin, I think I'm going to go find a surgeon. And I was like, what do you mean you're going to find a surgeon? She goes, I'm not planning on getting surgery, but I'm just going to talk to people. I'm just going to talk to people in case one day I wake up and I need it. And I was like, girl, you have come so far that like, you're healthy. You're so emotionally healthy in the journey. Is her spine straight? No. Does she still have a 45-degree listhesis? Yep. Does she have neural pain? Not most days. She knows how to control it now. Does it come every once in a while? Yeah. It's okay. It's all right. Now she's no longer making emotional decisions. We're not letting fear rule our lives. We're just calm, collected, and if she wakes up one day and she can't feel her legs, then she already has a surgeon in place. It's okay. It's okay. So that's what we do here at Spiral Spine. It's a fun journey. It's a fun journey.
And accepting what comes in that journey. And I think even at a deeper level, maybe a more esoteric level, even beyond the acceptance, I feel more and more that we chose this in a very kind of deep, before we've embodied this body. I feel like if we're looking at ownership as the key to really doing that, it's like maybe even just exploring with the question, like why would I have chosen to embody this person or this being for this life? Just a philosophical question may provoke an idea or some things that will bring some interesting answers to your mind. Those things might be very interesting on your journey to question, why would my soul have chosen this body for this planet? What did it want to learn? What did it want to feel? What did it want to do? Because I feel when you look into those challenges or those weaknesses or those things, that's where the real fruits, the real treasures are found. This overcoming of fear and the ripple effect that has on you, yourself and your family and the people around you and the people that you go on to help and inspire to overcome things on that same journey.
One of the things on that note is at the not at the end of the journey. I'm not at the end of my journey yet. Hear me out. But at the end of my journey, I think it brings me to the point of I've asked the Lord to take this from me so many times, and He's chosen not to. Why? And on this earth, are we promised a straight spine? Are we promised perfection? No. That's what heaven's for. So on this journey, okay, this is what is. What can I learn from this? And refine me in the fire, Lord. Refine me in this fire. What are the pieces in me that need to come out and get better? How can I love more? How can I find peace in the fire? How can I find peace with a crooked spine? And I think it was from being able to dance with the Radio City Rockettes and having getting so high in the dance world. And then realizing where we're at now and it's not perfect. It's not perfect. Okay. Can I still find peace in that perfection? Can I still find joy in that perfection? And Can I have so much peace and so much joy that when someone finds out down the road what I live with and what I do for a living, that they are blown away that I live with this and I have more joy and more peace than most people they know who have a straight spine. And it's not a competition, but it has made my heart seek deeper and deeper for the things that are not of this world. And the things of this world go strangely dim. And my staff and I, we are good at what we do. We work hard at what we do, but we realize that this is not the end result. This is just temporary. So we love on these little temples that are housing our souls right now, but we know that it is temporary, and it's okay. And it's okay. And it's good. So I can't have that conversation with a person who comes in for my very first lesson, but that's the eventual goal of where we get to.
I think it's been a beautiful journey that we've shared today. We've crossed an hour now, but I think that was a wonderful conversation. Erin, I thank you, and I admire you for the work that you're doing and the inspiration that is infiltrating and emanating from Nashville into the world. So thank you very much for what you do. I know for sure I'm going to put Nashville at the top of my list. I want to come check out that studio, check out a Pilates session, maybe the teacher training. The last time I went to Pilates, I did get stitches. It was my first and only time I went to a Pilates studio. It was a freak Pilates accident.
That's horrible.
I was on one of those sliding machines, and I had a little bit too much ego, and I slipped off, and my shin went on one of the metal bars, and
Oh my God.
it was meant to be quite a gentle movement with the imbalance.
Oh my gosh. The ultimate compensator, Sam, over here. Ultimately compensating.
Who would have thought Pilates is so extreme? But
oh my
no,
God.
I know there's a lot of gentle strength and balance
Dangers.
and benefits to come from it. So definitely looking forward to connecting in the future. Thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, you're so welcome. And Sam, thank you for doing what you're doing. I'm always looking for inspirational people in the scoliosis world to just be like, it's going to be okay, guys. It's going to be okay. Whether you choose fusion or not fusion or bracing or not bracing, it's going to be okay. And how can we accept this journey and love the journey and build rock towers while we're doing it?
Absolutely. Let's build something special. All right.
It's so good.
Thank you, everyone.
Let's build something special. That's right. Thank you for having me on, Sam.